Alrighty, welcome everybody. About a week ago, I released a video that talked about how I expect the upcoming DLC, Thrones of Decay, to be one of the best, if not the best DLC for Warhammer 3. And I still kind of feel that way, but I did want to follow up on that video based on the announcement that Creative Assembly just released regarding that DLC. And I'm going to kind of go through this as quickly as I can. If you're not aware of this announcement, I'll go ahead and put a link to it in the description down below. But there's a little bit of content to it and a fair amount of fluff. So what I wanted to do is just spend a couple of minutes talking about what I think it's really telling us in terms of what to expect moving forward. So the first part here is just basically a little bit of usual PR talk, thanking us for the reception, for the updated Shadows of Change. They do admit that they got the Shadows of Change release wrong, and at least they have now accepted some responsibility. They are showing a little bit of humility. That's good to see. But for the most part, I do consider this to basically just be PR talk. Now, one thing of substance is they are saying that the full reveal of Thrones of Decay is going to start next week and continue through April. I don't believe they've still announced the actual date for the DLC itself, so we're still waiting for that, but presumably starting next week, they will tell us that. So that's something to look forward to. Still not really anything of any real substance, though. They are talking a little bit about the latest announcement by Sega and how it's going to affect Creative Assembly. If you haven't heard, they are going to have some layoffs, and there has been some speculation about how much this is going to impact Total War Warhammer 3. It almost certainly will, but they are at least saying the right thing here, which basically is no matter the outcome of these changes, we will still be a team who love making content for Total War Warhammer 3. And we hope that continues to shine as we move forward with the project with even more all-new content. So unless they're lying to us, the expectation there is that this game is not dying, that they will continue to support it and presumably continue to release DLC. I'm not going to get into the speculation. I've heard some other people speculate about how much DLC we should expect moving forward. I just don't think we know that at this point. At least I've not heard anything convincing about it, but we'll see. Anyway, so on to the news we have for you today. This is probably the most substantive thing to bite into in this particular announcement, which is really I think for me and probably for a lot of people, this is a little bit of a nothing burger. But basically, they are changing the pricing. So instead of being forced to buy the entire bundle at one full amount, they are going to break up the 3 different content packs, the Empire, the Dwarfs, and Nurgle, and allow you to buy them each separately. If you buy them separately, they will be considerably less, but added up together, it will turn out to be a little bit more than if you buy them as a bundle. And since as much as I play Warhammer, I suspect I will go ahead and just buy the entire bundle. Now, I will, with this and quite frankly, with pretty much anything that I ever buy anymore, I do not pre-order anything. I always think at this point it's a good idea to wait until we see what we're going to get, particularly because the standard modus operandi for companies these days is to release it to the content creators who are partners with them, not just for Warhammer, obviously, but for all kinds of games now. I think this is one of the really nice things about the age of YouTube that we're living in. You get a chance to actually see some content and get the first-hand experience of content creators prior to making the decision about whether or not to buy. So at least for me, I think it's usually going to be quite silly to pre-order anything, so I don't personally do it. I've been burned in the past. I pre-ordered Rome 2. I think that was probably the last thing from Creative Assembly that I pre-ordered, and that turned out to be a disaster. But that's a different topic. So anyway, moving forward, this will be available to buy either as a full package, or if you're only interested in 1 or 2 of those 3 different factions and their reworks, then you can do it that way. I will say it's still way too soon to know what the reworks are going to entail. So even though I intend to probably buy the whole thing, unless it just gets universally panned by all the critics, I'm not at this point saying that I think it's going to be for sure worth the money or that it's going to be a good content pack. I think we kind of have to cross our fingers and hope that they do a good job. But I do, as I mentioned in that video that I released prior to this one, I do have high expectations that it will be a good one. I think that Creative Assembly knows that they need to hit a home run with this release, and so I think they're going to try really hard to. Now, they could try really hard to and still strike out. It has been known to happen, but I'm going to give them better than even odds at delivering us a quality product. I do have one big reservation, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But as we move forward here, just wanted to finish up going through this. They do say that this is a new approach for us and that they'll have plenty to learn about it as they do it. But they think it's the right approach, something that they can do in response to the pricing changes that we brought in late last year. That's fine. More options are good. You know, even though I don't probably intend to take advantage of it, it is going to be nice for those people who do wish to. So having more options available for the consumers is always a good thing. They do then finally say we're already deep into pre-production on our future DLC post Thrones of Decay, and the current intent is to avoid creating something quite so big in scope so that we can help to keep both the value and the price right for you. Now, that may sound like fluff. This is the single most important sentence in this entire announcement as far as I'm concerned, and I am extremely concerned about it. I don't like seeing things like this because this, to me, is managing expectations. And what they are basically saying is, we're not going to give you, let me go back to their specific wording here. The current intent is to avoid creating something quite so big in scope so that we can help to keep both the value and the price right for you. That tells me that they're trying to find the right balance between content and value. That's fine, except that we've already seen in recent times that their expectations about what is value is not really reflective of what I think most of us would like for it to be. So I'm okay with prices going up if the content is worth it. This almost sounds to me like they are trying to manage expectations to say, hey, don't get your hopes up, either in terms of quantity or quality, in terms of like the amount of development that they have to put in or the design hours or whatever. Don't expect something quite so big in scope. And that is because they're basically threatening. Threatening's a strong word. I shouldn't use the word threatening, but they are suggesting that if they were to truly put a lot into a DLC, they just have to raise the price, right? For those of us who know that Warhammer is the cash cow for the Total War franchise right now, this is a little disconcerting to see. It's not terribly surprising, I guess. And, you know, we're just going to have to wait and see exactly what's delivered. I don't want to, you know, harp on this point too much. I don't want to suddenly turn into a pessimist because I do think there's lots of pessimism around this game. And quite frankly, I think a lot of it is unwarranted. I think it's a really great game with some flaws, but there's still an awful lot to enjoy. But anyway, enough said about that. I just worry when I see messaging like this because this does kind of make me think, you know, they wouldn't want to over-deliver. You know, they wouldn't want to make us too happy because if they made us too happy, they would just have to turn around and raise the price again. So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But that's definitely the sentence in this whole announcement that stood out for me. The rest of it then, just finishing up here, this is just a little bit back to the regular PR talk, the fluff, if you will. And I do hope when they do say that they're keen to listen in on what we have to say and that they do care about the interaction with the community. You know, I think they've learned some lessons, and I have to believe them when they say that they are actually paying more attention now. And this is more communication is a good thing, and let's hope that they can follow through with it. But anyway, that's really all I had to say. I just wanted to give my 2 cents, particularly because I did, like I said, stick my neck out a little bit more than a week ago when I said that I have really high expectations for the upcoming Thrones of Decay DLC. I am very much looking forward to seeing what the reveal is going to tell us starting next week, and I guess it looks like continuing for several more weeks beyond that. But anyway, I'll probably react to that as at the same time as everybody else. I don't get anything from them earlier than anybody else does, so I'm in the same boat as most of the rest of you, and just kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that this one turns out to be pretty good. Anyway, my thoughts, please feel free to reply with your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm certainly happy to have a discussion about all this. Fingers crossed and knock on wood, or, rub your good luck charm, whatever it is that you do. Let's just hope for something good from this upcoming DLC. All right. Thanks so much for watching, or in this case, listening, and I will see you all in the next episode.